It was Jesus Christ who said we should be in the world but not of it. And as with most of the things that Jesus said, they are incredibly deep and very hard to get to the bottom of, but I'm going to give it a go in this video. Now clearly we are in the world. He didn't dispute that we should be in the world. He just disputed whether we should identify with it. So to be in the world means to have relationships with people, maybe at work, maybe personal relationships, relationships that either work or don't work, and all shades of grey in between, that can cause all kinds of suffering and problems of various kinds. And then there's money. We all need to make money to exist, to live. And some of us hate our work, some of us like our work, not very many I would imagine. But if you like your work, then you're blessed indeed. And we have to do all kinds of things to make sure that we earn enough money to survive, because at the end of the day, we're like every other living creature. We have to find some way to survive. And many people, not all, but many people do things that they know are not exactly the things you should do in life, but they'll do it because they need to earn a living. Health. Your health may be good, it may be bad. Most people have some kind of health issue. It might be arthritis, or it might be diabetes, or it might be some kind of heart condition, something. Some kind of allergy maybe, some kind of food intolerances that cause difficulties in life. And then we look at the state of the world, and I don't really need to mention what's happening or has been happening in Syria recently. The awful poisoning through chemical weapons of children in Syria. And of course there's just the ever-present corporate greed, the total neglect of the environment, and I could go on and on and on. This is the world. This is the world that we live in. We have expectations that it should be other than the way it is. And actually those expectations are part of the problem, but I'll come to that a little bit later on. So what did Jesus mean precisely when he said we should be in the world but not of it? Well, to be not of it means that you are not identified with it. To be not identified with it requires years of work. It's not something you can just suddenly decide that you're going to do. It requires that you observe yourself in a way where you are detached from what you're observing. Now let me give you a really good example. I've just driven for 7 or 8 hours, I forget exactly how long it took. But this was a journey across Spain. I didn't realize that today was a public holiday. The journey should have taken about 4 hours. And the Spaniards drive like absolutely crazy people. And I'm not I'm not being disrespectful to Spaniards particularly, but they do drive like crazy people. And so every, I don't know, probably 40 or 50 miles, there was an accident with a queue that maybe lasted for an hour or so. And so the journey that should have taken around about 4 hours took 8. And during that drive, I was in a really foul mood, really bad mood. I just wanted to get back home. We'd been away for a few days, and I just wanted to get back home. And because I've been doing this for a long time, I could just observe the mood. I didn't try and stop it. It would be unrealistic to expect that in that situation where I had expected a journey to take 4 hours into taking 8, it would be unrealistic to expect that I would be sat there like a saint, telling myself that it was okay, nothing, no rush. You know, these are the crazy sorts of things that people do when they um, try to pretend that they're being spiritual or that they're being in some way superior to everybody else. No, I was in a truly bad mood. But you know what? I was observing it. There was a little bit of distance between me and what was going on within me. What was going on out there was just totally as it was. I had no control over that. The universe wasn't bending itself to try and please me. There were hundreds and thousands, and maybe tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of people on the road, some of them driving like they had a death wish. And as a result, my journey took a long, long time. My expectation that it would all run smoothly was at the core of my bad mood. And in fact, if you've seen other videos, I, as far as I can remember, or as I remember, I try to practice some level of pessimism. So if I set out on this journey, I should have said to myself, well, this journey is going to go really crap. And the bad mood wouldn't probably have been so pronounced. But the really important point is that I didn't try and stop the bad mood. I didn't tell myself I was a bad person because I was in a bad mood. I didn't tell myself that I wasn't being spiritual because I was in a bad mood. I was just in a bad mood. But the really important thing was that and I've been using the word I, let me make some distinction here. Within me there was a bad mood. I was not in a bad mood because I was observing. And I was observing, and actually it became fairly enjoyable to observe this dreadful state, my dreadful inner psychological state, which was a mixture of physical weariness, because driving for 6-7 hours is fairly exhausting, particularly in those kind of conditions. And it would have been nonsense for me to try and pretend that I could be okay in that situation. So I was in the world. I was in a bad mood. I was in all this horrendous traffic. I was going past accidents, none of which seemed to be particularly serious, thankfully. But I was not in it. I was observing it, and actually came to enjoy, to some extent, observing this inner state that I was in, which is a strange thing to experience, actually. So, we start all of this in a small way. You cannot expect to achieve some level of distance between what is going on within you and your eye, if you like, the eye that is observing. You cannot expect to achieve some distance between, in my case, the bad mood and the eye that was observing overnight. It takes a long time to get that kind of detachment. But I can honestly say that while I was in this horrendous traffic, there was a bad mood within me, but I was observing. And in those kind of conditions, I've acquired the skill of being able to observe and to look at what's going on. So, if you want to be in the world but not of it, you have to learn this kind of detachment. And it's very, very difficult. And it's difficult for a couple of reasons. The first thing that you will do when you start to observe is that you will judge. And in that situation, in the traffic jams and the heavy traffic and the crazy drivers, you will start to get angry and annoyed, and you will look at yourself and you will say, well, I shouldn't really be like this, but actually just allow it to happen. Allow it to happen, because that is you are a part of the universe. This is just how you are responding to the universe. Don't try and stop it. Don't judge it. Don't try and change it. Of course, I've given you a particularly well, for me, a particularly um, relevant example because this happened today. I'm back home now, and I've sort of calmed down, but I'm observing that as well. So you have to learn to just step back a little bit. So yeah, it might be start with things that are relatively straightforward. So maybe you're watching TV and your partner wants to watch something different, and you don't want to watch it. Just just for the sake of doing it, just allow your partner to switch over and see how you feel. You'll feel annoyed, a little bit angry, a little bit resentful maybe. Just allow those feelings to happen and watch them. Because real spiritual work is done in the heat of the moment. Anybody can sit and meditate and feel very nice indeed. I've meditated for years, and I do it because I enjoy it. I don't do it because I expect something. I do it because I get a nice feeling. Nothing more profound than that. I don't try and stop my thoughts. I don't sit in a special position. Back upright is essentially what I do. And meditating in the midst of peace and quiet and tranquility is dead easy. And in fact, even observing yourself in those conditions is dead easy. But you get yourself into a 3-hour traffic jam with tempers starting to boil all around you, people driving recklessly because they're just absolutely sick and tired of the whole thing. And see if you can just observe what is going on within you. Now that's a wholly different kind of thing. So as things happen in your life, just as you can remember, because you won't always remember to do it, just pull back from it a little bit and observe. Don't try and stop the feelings. Now, I know I keep saying that, but it's what we all try and do. We've all been told that to get angry is a bad thing. Anger is just a natural response. If you are excited about going to see your favorite, I don't know, pop group, or to see a concert or something, just observe the excitement, because they're actually the same thing. They're just emotional responses to situations. Excitement is seen as something good. Anger is seen as something bad. You have to drop all of that, because until you drop that, you cannot be in the world but not of it, because you're just going to be taking sides, which is, I like all the pleasant stuff, and actually I hate all the pleasant stuff, and I'm going to try and get rid of it. The unpleasant stuff is going to happen anyway. You need to learn to step aside from it, or step back from it. Stepping back from the pleasant stuff is actually harder in many circumstances than stepping back from the unpleasant stuff, because with the pleasant stuff we're pulled in totally. We're going out to do something we really like doing. You probably will not remember to step back and just look at what's going on within you, but you need to. Until you can do it with both the unpleasant and the pleasant stuff, then you'll make no progress. So to be in the world and not of it is a lifetime practice. And the thing I always find frustrating with the sayings of Jesus are that they're so deep, and there's no elaboration around them to indicate exactly what is meant. But as far as I'm concerned, this is what is meant. We are in the world, we will react to the world in the way we react, but there should be a part of us that can step back and look at what's going on in a detached kind of way. And if you can do that, then some level of peace and contentment is probably what you'll get in return.